Hello everyone, my name is Isabella Corinta and I'll be presenting a work conducted at the Sound and Music Computing Lab from the INESC Tech and University of Porto on the design principles of DMIs for education from a systematic review across all editions of the NIME conference. As such, it's a great pleasure to address this community, which very much sits at the core of our work. As a result of our broad understanding of a DMI for education, multiple sonic materializations and application scenarios, from installations to games, sound toys, interactive playing for teaching and learning, or even hybrid instruments are considered in the compiled catalog. To design this catalog, we identify and select the DMIs for education using a twofold method. For the first phase, we identified the papers including one or more keywords relevant to the practice of education. This table lists the entire set of keywords adapted in the search process, which will be split into two categories, areas of knowledge and agents. We compiled of over 100 DMIs. For the second phase, we did a review of their contribution. Then, we have created a 3-degree categorization of educational affiliation. The first and strongest presents education as the primary goal of the DMI. The second does not mention education as a primary area of the activity, but states the potential of the DMI in this context. The third and the weakest does not link the DMI to education, but a more attentive reading of the paper highlights some clear evidence of its potential in the education field. We propose a taxonomy of DMI for education adapted from Heitor Magnusson's work, and it is summarized in this table. It covers dimensions related to the system identification, dimensions and attributes from interactive music systems divided into component modules, and information of the target users and musicianship. The DMI identification is the first dimension which identifies the DMI by year, author, DMI name, and the degrees of education affiliation. Interactors define the agents involved in a performative ecology using a DMI, and it can adapt three categories: one performer and one computational system, multiple performers and one system, and multiple performers and multiple computational systems. Interaction input control can assume three categories: a physical controller, transparent embodied gestures, and audio. Physical controllers include, for example, gloves, joysticks, keyboards, gamepads, or mobile phones. Transparent embodied gestures refer to interaction modalities which do not require a physical interface between the user and the computer to accomplish a particular action. And audio as an input controller denotes the use of audio attributes from sound-producing sources. For example, pitch, amplitude, and brightness. The control parameters dimension in our taxonomy is split into 7 categories: pitch, duration, dynamics, tone color, articulation, vibrato, and other audio effects. The list of control parameters includes both primary and secondary properties of music notation, as well as expressive performance qualities. DMI typology can be defined as either score-driven, performance-driven, or hybrid. Score-driven DMIs incorporate predefined compositional structures in the style of a score-following system. Performance-driven DMIs has no pre-built knowledge or a compositional structure, and it is related to music improvisation settings. Hybrid DMI include the two previous strategies. To characterize the DMI design considerations related to the target users, we adapted two dimensions in our taxonomy: required user expertise and the DMI learning curve. The required expertise is subdivided into two categories: non-experts, for example, novice users with little to no knowledge of music theory and practice, and experts, for example, users with advanced training in music theory and practice. This split characterizes the required initial experience to manipulate a DMI expressively. Degrees of training, proficiency or virtuosity, detail the learning curve of the DMI to achieve expressive proficiency. We divide this dimension into two categories: elementary, which requires no musical performative training, and advanced, which is intended for highly skilled musicians. We provide a comprehensive catalog of DMIs for education in all editions of NIME conference. The catalog is available online at the link below. After talking about taxonomy, I'll talk about DMI trends designed for education. From the collected data in the catalog, we computed global statistics. Our main aim is to expose temporal trends across the data per dimension. This first graph provides an overall perspective on the number of DMIs for education across the temporal span of the 9 editions. The blue vertical bars report the percentage of papers focusing on DMIs for education as a result of summing the 3 degrees of educational affiliation in our taxonomy. The red line indicates the percentage of DMIs with strong ties to education, the first category in our taxonomy. The regression lines from the data, in light blue and light red, expose an increase of attention on this topic over the years, namely from DMIs with explicit ties with educational activities. This graph shows the interactors dimension. A prominent DMI category is one human performer and one computational system, followed by multiple human performers and one computational system. These two categories indicate DMI's design as a continuation of the expressive modalities found in Western music practice, and the role of acoustic instruments, mostly designed for individual performance. This graph shows the DMI typology dimension. Despite the predominance of score-driven DMIs, performance-driven DMIs have gained increased attention since 2010. This shift may be linked and explain the growing number of DMIs for the improvisation practice. These two graphs present the evolution of the target user dimensions. We can observe a significant focus on DMI for non-experts and elementary degree of the required expertise and learning curve dimensions respectively. Across all dimensions of our taxonomy, this data is the most expressive element to distinguish DMI from traditional Western instruments, as it denotes the immediate results for novice users. From the preliminary statistical analysis of the catalog, we could observe an increasing interest of DMI for education in recent years. In combination with existing pedagogical strategies, existing DMIs enable the introduction of new topics of interest in musical curricula. First, they show high potential for motivating the study and practice of music, due to its almost immediate results, divergent from traditional orchestral instruments. Second, their materialization is typically directed to the use of low-cost devices, such as smartphones, which we carry on a daily basis. On the other hand, DMIs can be used to connect with other people in several ways, increasing the performance paradigms for an audience present in a physical space. We have found that the trend of multiple performers towards a single interactive system is growing, and this could mean that the way we connect with others through music fosters a social and engaging attitude. In this way, music education programs can address other experiences through new ways of sharing music with others, in favor of new ways to learn music or reinvent it.